And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we're going to talk about relapsing. Relapsing is better than you think. In the Nofap community, I don't know if I'm part of the Nofap community. I have my own community, and it's not even semen retention. Maybe we should call it a different name. But anyway, in this community, we think about relapsing as a bad thing. Like, what's up with that? That doesn't make any sense. Because we also know, in terms of success and failure, the only way to succeed in anything is to actually fail at it first. We've got to fail and fail and fail and fail. And the way that we eventually get to a win is by having the failures together with a win. We make the failure into a benefit. We make a failure into the win that eventually leads us to a better plan that eventually makes us succeed in our 90-day program that we're doing right now. Does that make sense? So, relapsing can be a fantastic thing. It just completely depends on you and completely depends on your mindsets. Now, would we rather just completely get through the 90-day challenge of semen retention without failure? Sure, that's awesome. That would be great. But if we win and it wasn't a struggle, like we haven't really won. You know what I mean? It's kind of like people who get to success so easily that, then I guess it wasn't that big thing after all, and then they waste all of the money that they got on the way up. If success is easy, then you're not learning the lessons, you're not learning the struggles that will make sure that you're permanently at the top. If you suddenly become rich and then you lose it all again, then perhaps you didn't build it up properly in the first place. We want to make sure that you are built up properly from the beginning so that you have complete control over yourself for the rest of your life. We're talking the rest of your life here, not just the small, thing of semen retention. You're getting complete control over you. This is what's awesome about relapsing, because I'm going to explain now. There's 3 different aspects in this. There's feedback, then it's the big picture, and then it's refocusing on the goal. Let's talk about feedback for a second. Feedback, in very simple terms, means the truth. I want you to become passionate about the truth. I want you to always allow the truth to stare you in the eyes. You don't want anything else but the truth. Very often people put the truth, they're like, I don't really want to see it. I don't want to know about it because I want to think positive thoughts and stuff like that. No, you need to know what the truth is. And that keeps your curiosity and it just keeps life engaging to know the truth. How does this relate to relapsing and women? Well, think about it. If you relapse, there was a reason why you relapsed. It didn't just happen on its own. There was things that led up to it. It was an exponential growth curve that you followed and then you relapsed. It didn't just suddenly in the middle of, you're in a restaurant and then you're like, I'm gonna relapse right now. It doesn't work like that. It's an exponential growth curve until you are eventually by yourself, alone, and you've got your friend masturbation, and then you get it on. It's an exponential growth curve. So things happened along the line that triggered those thoughts, those emotions, and therefore the actions and the relapse. And the truth is found in what happened on that curve. And the relapse allows you to understand the trigger points and helps you understand that process. And how is that a win? Because now you know. Now you know from experience what actually happened, and hopefully you're going to make a correct evaluation of that process and make sure that you create a better plan to avoid those triggers in the future. Simple as that. So, I have a story to tell you guys. And it's a true story. So once upon a time, I had a friend, and his goal was to get past his 10-day streak. And he wanted to, he was so fired up about getting past the 10-day streak, and it was actually happening. He's like, wow, I can actually overcome myself and control my future and control my destiny. Unfortunately, on day 10, he relapsed. So he didn't manage to get to day 11. What happened, you might ask? Well, this is how he faced the truth. First, he said, I ordered a Coke with his meal, and then later in the day, he ordered chocolate with the coffee. So these are like unhealthy habits, right? So he's kind of relapsing because he wants to be healthy. And then it was another relapse in terms of food, but this time it was going into a restaurant and then seeing this hot babe, and then you just not being able to take his eyes off of her. And those thoughts kept working on, in his head, and then eventually it was the exponential growth curve that created the porn binge, and that is history. And that is history that you can get very valuable feedback and truth from. Right? Except, it's not the whole truth. What I figured out later from this friend was that he had actually been in communication with a girl. And he had been speaking to her about something that they disagreed upon, and she was then upset with him because she was misunderstanding what he was trying to say, and then she didn't want to talk to him anymore. And because of this, he got very emotionally distressed from that situation, and in some ways depressed and lonely. And guess what happened? The relapse. It wasn't the sugary drink. It wasn't the coffee and the chocolate. It wasn't that girl that he saw in the restaurant, even though that, could have been a partial part of it. But it was the relationship that he had with that girl that he liked, who rejected him when they were disagreeing about something. Why is this critical to understand? From my point of view, semen retention is not semen retention unless you actually completely abstain from women altogether for 90 days. The reason why is because women are a massive distraction, and they cause your emotions to go up and down. Most of the time, they are in control because you want them more than they want you. And that is completely natural in the 90-day rebooting process, where you've been addicted to girls. You've been addicted to porn, and you've been addicted to masturbation. It's time to cut it off, because women will not give you any benefits during that 90-day period of time where you are overcoming yourself and winning. Women are distracting you from achieving that 90-day goal. And you cannot allow that to happen. Let me give you another small detour when it comes to women and feedback. Very often men have this thing about women need to control themselves. Women need to, be more emotionally stable. Well, guess what? The roles have changed because we're basically expecting women to do those things, to be emotionally stable, to control themselves. And what ends up happening is that we are the ones who become feminine, and become emotionally unstable and not able to control ourselves. We want women to not be able to control themselves. We want women to not be emotionally stable. If you're wondering about what I'm talking about, you have to comment down below and like this video, and I will share more about it. But you've got to understand that women and men are opposite. We're polar opposite, and it helps us understand the male and female dynamic so much more. You, in your 90-day period of time, what you're trying to do is to overcome your femininity and become masculine. That's what you're doing. It's not overcoming porn and masturbation addiction. It's becoming a man instead of being that little girl who can't control herself. Does that make sense? So in terms of women, you want them to be emotionally unstable, and for them to speak the truth to you of how they truly feel. Because if they're putting a mask on and they're being emotionally stable, you don't know what they're thinking. You want to allow women to tell you what they think and never stop them by telling them to control themselves, because you want the truth. A woman speaks the truth like better than any other time when she is pissed off and annoyed at you. Now, this is for the guys who actually have a long-term partner, and also for you single guys who eventually in the future will have those girlfriends and those long-term partners. You got to understand that is valuable feedback. It's the truth. And if you can't handle the truth, then you will never change, and therefore not be able to retain the girl. She will leave you because she has an exponential growth curve emotionally. And eventually, if you never change, you either will both end up depressed. That's what most marriages are. Or you will leave each other and believe that you will be able to find a greener pasture somewhere else. And that's not going to happen unless one of you change. And I recommend that you change before you involve women into your life. You're not ready for their feedback because you suck. You're a girl. You're feminine. Make the change. That's why semen retention is so powerful. Next step. We go from feedback. We got the truth. Now we know we've got to take women out of our lives, and that's what I recommend. Yeah, of course you can talk to them. I'm not saying don't talk to girls at all. Oh, I'm not going to talk to you because I'm on the 90-day semen retention cure. No, we talk to girls, but we don't talk to them or seek opportunity or involve them romantically at all. For that period of time, all women are sisters. Sisters. Got it? Don't do anything crazy. Okay, so next thing is the big picture. The fact of the matter is, if you're only thinking about your porn and masturbation goal of trying to get that out of your life, you gotta realize that goal sucks. It's a goal. And having a goal is better than no goal. But it's too selfish. It's a selfish goal because it doesn't involve service to other people. Does that make sense? You need to have a goal that is unselfish and that involves other people. That's a goal that's bigger than you. A goal that's bigger than you and involves changing other people, right? Remember, you want to become a leader so that you can lead others. So you want to control yourself so that you can actually, help other people control themselves. And then be able to march on to victory in whatever, thing you're doing. Without you seeing that big picture of that bigger goal, you're going to be relapsing a lot more than necessary. Relapsing is not necessary, and it won't happen if you consistently, continuously start focusing more on your goal, obsessing about your goal. Let's think about the big picture part. You taking one step backwards with relapsing is kind of like getting more clarity. Like, for example, if you're lost in the woods and you don't have a map, right? It's kind of difficult to find the way because it's so, like, it looks the same everywhere. But if you were a helicopter, your view of the woods would be completely differently. Right? This is what relapsing allows you to do. Remember, it's a win. You can turn it into a win. Relapsing is you, instead of being in the depth of the woods and not knowing what to do and being confused, relapsing allows you to get bird view or a helicopter view of the situation. And therefore, you're able to create a better plan for next time. It's the big picture mentality. Now that you have the big picture, you can create that better plan that makes it possible for you to eventually succeed, improve, your streaks, but most importantly, get to that 90-day goal through that big picture. So it's the goal, but it's also being able to use that relapse for your benefit in terms of the bird's view, okay? And the last thing, in that story, once upon a time, I asked my friend, were you thinking about your goal when you were discussing and disagreeing with the girl? No, obviously not. Were you thinking about your goal when you were watching porn and masturbating? No, obviously not. Were you thinking about your goal when you got those unhealthy chocolate whatever thing, Like if he has a health goal, then obviously he wasn't thinking about his goal. Does that make sense? The relapse is feedback that you were not obsessing enough about your unselfish goal. It's feedback that you need to immerse yourself even more into your goal. It's a step backwards in order to take however many steps forward you want. You can take 2 steps forward, and you can take 10 steps forward. The only massive failure comes from quitting. Taking 1 step backwards, and then basically taking 10 steps backwards. That's the only failure there is in success, and in the journey, and in the progressive realization of a worthwhile goal. So, once you understand these things, feedback is fantastic. Number 2, get the big picture view of the situation. What happened? What were the triggers? Create a better plan. And number 3, refocus on the unselfish goal. The bigger goal that involves service to other people, maybe for money goals, or maybe it's something like, I must become a leader because I need to do this. Do you understand? Like, create a specific goal that helps you to serve other people and not think about yourself and not thinking about your problems. You got to solve other people's problems. That's when you get the life that you want. If you got value out of this video, I hope that you did. Then make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, comment down below what you got out of the video. And I'm fired up about being on this channel, helping you guys out, and sharing the things that I learn from you guys, but also from my own experiences of life. This is the Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I'll see you again tomorrow.